Vox Box Podcast, episode 21. Whoa, that's some bad force, man.
What is thy bidding, my master?
There is great disturbance in the force.
The Vox Box Star Wars Podcast, your source for Star Wars comics, news, and more. And now your host, Michael Corley.
Welcome back to Vox Box Star Wars Comic Book Podcast, episode 21. I'm your host, Michael Corley. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are covering Star Wars, number 21, titled Shadow of a Dark Lord. We open with Princess Leia. She has escaped from her quarters of Master Com inside the Wheel, a giant gambling facility, and she is making her way downwards. She sees only one guard blocking where she needs to be, and she decides to do what she must. She has no weapons other than a tiny knife, and so she pretends to stumble. She says, "Help me, As the guard comes to check on her, she swiftly reaches into his pouch, pulls out his second blaster, and points it at him. She wants answers. First of all, she wants to know why there are so few guards in this area when this is the executive area. And he's saying, well, the big game is going on, the big gladiator game, and they need all the security they can get in the casinos. Getting the information that she needs, she gives the man a full blast of his stun blast. She makes her way down a vacuum lift with his main blaster, and she's thinking to herself, what is Senator Greyshade up to? She suspects, but she doesn't know for sure. She doesn't know where Chewbacca is. She doesn't know where Han is. She doesn't know where Luke or the droids are. But she's thinking how dangerous the Wheel is, not because it has blasters, but because the Wheel makes so much money. And if it continues to do so, it will fund ship after ship, trooper after trooper that will help crush more systems under the weight of the Empire. Her only hope is to find proof that the Empire is faking these rebel attacks on innocent ships and to disrupt the alliance between the Wheel and the Empire. We cut to a nearly naked Luke Skywalker. He is coming out of his comatose state, but his mind is still not in the present. We see inside his mind he is running. He is running with a blaster in his hand, a lightsaber at his side in outer space. He feels something is coming after him. He's stopped by Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's saying, "There's no escape, Luke, not this way. I'm with you, Luke, as is the Force, but you cannot run away. You must fight." Luke is scared. He's saying that whatever it is too strong. And Obi-Wan is telling him to face his fears. Finally, Luke turns around and sees Darth Vader, his red lightsaber, out in front of him. And Luke is saying, "No, it's no use. My blaster is no use. How can I stop him, Ben? He killed you. How can I beat him?" And Obi-Wan is telling him, "Not with a blaster, young Luke. Not even with your father's lightsaber. A weapon is only a tool, Luke, an extension of the inner will. True power must come from the depths of the soul. You can do it, Luke. Strike, fight back with all the power within you." And Luke reaches forward, grabs hold of Darth Vader's arm, and with the power inside him, suddenly he comes back to himself. Using strength of the Force, he overcomes the drugs that are supposed to be sending him deeper into a permanent trance and breaks free of the restraints that are put upon him. Instinctively, perhaps using the Force, he uses a piece of the broken equipment to pry open a locker and finds his weapons, his clothings, and as he makes his way into battle. We see that inside his mind, he is stabbing Darth Vader with a lightsaber. And he's saying, "It's finished. I've avenged you. I've beaten Darth Vader." And Obi-Wan is saying, "No, Luke, you've only conquered the shadow of fear. The fear that was making you draw into yourself, lose yourself, perhaps forever. You fought and won for now." And that's when Luke comes back to himself, back to reality. He looks around and sees that he's surrounded by dead Wheel security. They're all dead. While he was inside his mind, he was fighting in the real world. By the way, they are very inconsistent on Luke's lightsaber, the color, but I think it's very interesting that right now, while he was attacking Darth Vader, they show his lightsaber being red. Leia has found him as he's come out of his trance, along with C-3PO and R2-D2. And Leia is asking the very reasonable thing. What happened? Because suddenly you fell into a coma after screaming. And he has to try to explain to her what was going on. And you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? It's time for...
Dramatic reenactment.
What is this place? How did we get here? The last I recall, I was doing a meditation, letting my mind drift free when I touched someone else's mind. Only for an instant, just in passing, and it was twisted, evil, and strong, Princess. So strong it made me want to hide, to crawl inside myself and never come out. Worst of all, that contact makes certain what we could only suspect up to now. Darth Vader is alive. Alive and searching for us.
That dramatic reading of Luke trying to explain the deep mysteries of the Force is by Pete from the Rebels Report. Rebel is a Star Wars podcast dedicated to covering the animated series of Star Wars Rebels and is expanding to cover the anthology film Rogue One. You can find them at rebelsreport.com. Thanks, Pete. That was awesome. As Luke was saying, Darth Vader is alive. And in fact, we cut to Darth Vader. What is he doing? He is slaughtering rebels. We see him holding the body of one rebel and many more lying dead at his feet. However, he did not kill them. He is even saying, an entire rebel information team wiped out by someone ahead of us. One of the stormtroopers is telling him that there's someone inside who's still alive. Darth Vader is asking him, who did this, rebel? Why? And the rebel is saying, the pain. Please give me something for the pain. And Darth Vader is saying, answers first. The rebel is saying that it was a man, half machine, a Borg, calling himself Valance. He's a bounty hunter, and he was looking for a boy with 2 droids. We had met him last in Star Wars 16. And he's saying, now please give me something for the pain. And it's probably a bad idea to ask that of Darth Vader. His lightsaber flashes. Ease the pain, rebel. I'll end it entirely. We see Darth Vader communicating back to Captain Wormus, who is in charge of the Star Destroyer that has brought Darth Vader here. Captain Wormus is trying to say, look, it's not really that big a deal, the boy, the droid, it's all fine. Wormus, in his stuffy way, even calls Darth Vader, dear boy. Us, knowing what we know about Darth Vader, know how ridiculous it is to call Darth Vader dear boy. Darth Vader replies, Wormus, I haven't been a boy for some years, and no one has ever rated me as dear. If there is another mind in this galaxy still capable of evoking the Force, no matter how weakly, it poses nearly as great a threat to the Empire as incompetent wits like you. We cut back to the wheel, where Master Com is informing Greyshade that Princess Leia has escaped. Greyshade, who is obsessed with the princess, is infuriated. He also finds out that Master Com hasn't destroyed the 2 droids. And he says, what are you doing? You're in full revolt. And Master Com is telling him, well, you vaguely didn't say yes or no when I talked about studying them, so I took that to mean I could totally do it. He wants to know why. There is a mutual respect and friendship between the rebel droids and their masters. It's something that he cannot understand. And what he admits is that he really wants to be friends with Senator Greyshade. That's not really going to work out for Greyshade because he's a huge jerk. He orders Master Com back to work. We cut to some wheel security guards. They have invaded the Star Destroyer. We saw earlier that Greyshade gave Strom the idea to send most of his men on shore leave to watch the gladiator fights. Now, this obviously was part of his ploy. They have been able to sneak on board and find the raided Wheel Prophets, the first ship that was supposedly destroyed by the rebels was actually the Empire stealing Wheel Prophets. We see that R2 is recording all of this. Behind him is Luke, Leia, and C-3PO. They are going to have plenty of proof to prove the Empire are a bunch of jerks. We cut to Han Solo, and he's got a little something for the ladies. He's got his shirt off, and a Nacro Mist, a Medi-droid, is healing his broken ribs. This is not out of kindness. It is to get him ready for the next match. Han is saying, yeah, I don't really want to fight anymore. Just wanted to make enough money to get my droids back. But the wheel technician is telling him, no. You owe us way more than that. You can either go and fight more, or you can go to the spice mines of Kessel. Han Solo has no choice but to head out into the main event. He has a tiny little shield, like the size of your fist, and a tiny